stomping on it. If you're 150 pounds and you stomp on it, that's a 3-pound hammer. Now, was I smashing that thing, or did I just... That inspection test is for our safety. As we walk up fire escapes, we start hammer testing. If treads start falling, we don't go up anymore. But you guys don't walk around with hammers when you walk up and down fire escapes, do you? They're 75 years old. And do you look underneath the treads as you're walking down? Do you have like a little mirror as you walk down to check every little tread? So we're going to show you how to inspect fire escapes from the ground. Okay? Guys, cantilevers. And then I'm going to show you some what's called downtown walkarounds. Chief, if you want to have the same issue, you can give me 1, 3 people to go after this class. I can go down to downtown and or an area that has a cluster of fire escapes. We'll do a little walk around. And I can just do specific fire escapes. We can do about 10 or 15, 20 fire escapes. And all we do is just walk around, and we basically use today's class with 2 or 3 or 4 of you guys, and I test you guys to see what are you looking for, original hardware, you know, all the questions that we talk about. That video that I create, the same video that I did for East Orange, which is the little seminar class that you guys can go on YouTube anytime and watch. So I can show you other people's walkarounds, which I'm going to do today, but I can also do some, if any of these people are available, to go with me and do a downtown walkaround. It's a nice day, it's not raining, okay? But I'll show you what it looks like in case you want to do something that is specific to Newark.
Let's see what we have when we finish.
Sure. Okay. Cantilevers. Guys, ladders are supposed to be balanced. When I release a ladder, I'm not supposed to be assisting it and bringing it down, because when you bring it down and it's unbalanced, what's it do automatically? It goes right back up. Firemen, can you reach up 12 feet without a pipe? Right? You have to go get your pole and bring things down. And even if you bring it down, what do you have to do? So that people... Yeah, you have to put your foot there. So you just lost a fireman. Cantilevers are the other culprit that steal one fireman from the job. 150-pound woman dragging a 50-pound child behind her, right? Typically, fire escapes have this issue. When they fill these boxes to perfectly balance them, because you're supposed to touch the first step. Touch it, and it starts all by itself. Drops 2 to 3 feet per second, hits the ground, and stays down. That is so perfectly balanced that you can't imagine how quickly they get out of balance. Because these boxes are full of crap. They're full of the junk from my shop. I'm not going to fill it with good steel. I just sweep up the shop, and I put it in this box, and as soon as the thing is perfectly balanced, I close the box and I don't seal it, but water gets in there, moisture gets in there, and rust grows. A 1/4 inch of rust grows to 1 inch of rust. And it grows in weight also. So these things start moving up. They start pointing to the sky, right? So now, if I came by and I walked, and you're an inspector, you walk by, you see this may not catch you yet. But what happens if you walk by a building and you got this thing? Is there a violation coming? Are you going to write a violation when you see something pointing to the sky like that? It just doesn't look right, right? So you know what I do as an owner, so that you don't write me a violation? I go to Home Depot, and I get a $25 chain, and I tie it over here, and I drag it back up there, and I tie it to anything I can get, a piece of rail or anything. I'll tie it to my mother-in-law if I could tie it to her, but I just make it horizontal so that you don't write me a violation. So, is a chain a natural piece of the fire escape, an original piece of the fire escape? No. So every chain you see out there is doing what right now for you?
It's a violation.
It's a violation because it's out of balance. And I'll explain the balance right now on how it works, right? Because let's just use the example of the 150-pound woman dragging a 50-pound child, and the thing's out of balance. When she comes down the stairs and she comes here and she hits this and it doesn't do it, she goes out about 1/3. Does it move?
Yeah, it moves till the chain and whatnot.
May move, may not.
It taut.
She sometimes needs to come out to half. As soon as she comes out to half, will that drop 2 to 3 feet per second or 5 to 10 feet per second?
Yeah,
Real fast. So she's got her child behind her, and the thing goes down and smacks the ground and does what to her? Possibly.
Bounce her off.
Bounce her off. So it could possibly, but she held on, right? So she held on, she screamed, the kid starts crying, and then she walks the rest of the way. Because she's counteracting.
Is not going to fly back up,
She's
right?
dragging a little child behind her, and she walks off the 150 pounds, takes off, gets off the fire escape. What happens? Goes back up.
Right back
With
up.
who on it?
Baby.
The 50-pound child goes up how many feet on average? Every cantilever is minimally 12 to 14 feet off the ground. Now you got an 8-year-old child up there, 50 pounds, on the very edge. Will that come down with a 50-pound child?
No.
And the mother's telling the child to do what?
Jump.
Jump! How many kids jump 8 feet, much less 12 feet? So now the mother's screaming, the kid's crying, the mother's yelling, the fire, the flames. Fireman there yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. And the mother's screaming and yelling, say, hey, jump! And the baby says no. You don't think the mother would run back into a burning building to save her child, would she?
She would. Yes.
So all of a sudden she runs to the front and she's in her pajamas. She's looking for what? her keys, which is our where?
On the dresser.
Inside, and she's got this glass door. You don't think she'll throw something through that door? All of a sudden, before she's ready to throw this brick and this chair and this trash can through the front door, who shows up? The fireman shows up. Says, "What's the problem? What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, my kid in the back alleyway," and they all run to the back. And the fireman goes there and says what to the kid? Jump! And the kid goes, "Dude, I ain't jumping for my mother. I ain't jumping for you." So the fireman runs back to his pole. Back to the truck and gets what? The pole. He goes up there and he grabs it and he pulls it down, reunites the mother with the child, and then he puts his foot on it and does what? Starts yelling orders to who? Now there's flames and garbage flying all over the place, and this guy, you just lost one guy now, because now he's a doorman now for everybody to go up and everybody to go down. Does that sound like the way it's supposed to be? So, with that, let me, I happened to be in Springfield last week, and it was funny because I was supposed to do a fire escape inspection. And there's a great, there's a video here that you guys will like, because it was of the guy who I made do the cantilever walk. And and I said, "Dude, you're gonna be shown all over the country." Not realizing that. Bear with me for a second as I. Slow it down. Come on, Ken. Looks like she doesn't want to let me go in and show you the video in a second, but I'll show it afterwards when we start doing, actually there's a cantilever here that I'm gonna play as soon as this thing, I think it's just so much juice going on in this thing. I got a cantilever that I'm gonna drop, but I actually have a photograph when I started doing the downtown walk-arounds. I'll show you a guy that I had to make, and he's going out slowly, this like full-grown man. I said, "You're lucky there's not a fire going on while you're doing this, because you'd have people behind you pushing you." But it basically stresses the point that cantilevers are one of the reasons why in Bridgeport they had 50 people up there. Ladders weren't coming down, or cantilevers weren't coming down.
Now, if the chain is holding the cantilever, right, you need a bolt cover? You need
No, the
something
chain,
to
all the
break
chain
it?
is doing, and we're just gonna have to wait till see why this thing is sort of jamming up a little bit. The chain is what you use on the tail end of the cantilever to make it horizontal. The chain just keeps the thing from flipping its nose straight up in the sky, because the cantilever actually drops this way. The
But
chain just
as
brings
you
it horizontal.
walk it, the chain is not going
Chain has nothing to do with it. The chain is once you walk away from it and it goes back up by itself, it stops it from going beyond horizontal. It's a big tug on the thing, and that's why it's illegal. So I'm just gonna wait to see if I have to restart it, because for some reason she doesn't wanna. Yeah, I think she froze. See if it'll. So I'm going to open it up to some questions, because right now the next thing I'm going to play, including that little piece of the video, is some downtown walk-arounds, some of the most recent ones I just did in Springfield, and I have the ones that we did at East Orange. But let's just open up to some questions right now, just to sort of recap, because I think we've covered a lot of information. I'll end it with some of the videos that we've done. It's called what's called downtown walk-arounds, and again, you can use any downtown walk-around to learn what you're doing here, because the fire escapes on the East Coast are exactly the same fire escapes on the West Coast, the same fire escapes in Chicago, the same fire escapes in Texas. So there's plenty of videos already out there. We have about 500 videos on what's called Fire Escape Academy. So if you go to YouTube channel, they're all free videos. It's called Fire Escape Academy, and it's called inspection walk-arounds, repair walk-arounds. So as this thing loads, does anybody have any questions so far on everything that we've talked about?
Now, Cisco, you know, about 2 years ago, we did, was it 2 years ago?
Was it back to
We
Terrace?
did the walk around downtown. You know,
We
we
did.
went to
Back to
Symphony
Terrace.
Hall, we went
And
around.
Symphony Hall.
Matter of fact, a lot of those fire escapes that was in, what's that housing complex?
Back to Terrace.
Baxter Terrace, they tore them off because they closed up that whole unit there. But those fire escapes was fairly new. And actually, they salvaged that metal that was on all them complexes out there. A salvage company come and took all them fire escapes down. But we did the walkthrough before in our downtown area. We did Symphony Hall, and they still haven't repaired the fire. No, they have not repaired it at Symphony Hall. So we doing, and that belongs to the city, and that's another thing.
Well, here's what changed from our walk around then. Couple things. Let's talk about welding. Welding has got a new flavor now. Most people don't realize that a weld rots from the inside out, because after you weld, you don't normally seal it to stop water from getting in there. And there's instances out there where welds have snapped off of a fire escape and conked people on the head. Now, without an X-ray, and this is one of the only last pieces of the puzzle, I told you what I need to do on a bolt. A load test a bolt, or reinforce a bolt, or change a bolt to eliminate a load test, right? What do I have to do to eliminate a load test on a welded connection? If load test is what you don't want to do, what else can I do to a welded connection that visually looks good? But the only other option besides a load test is to bring an X-ray machine, which I don't have, which is very expensive, but I can have a company come in with an X-ray machine. What's the only other way on a welded connection, whether it visually looks good, but we've had some issues in the recent issues with it, what's the only other thing we can do right now to avoid a load test on a welded connection?
Re-weld it.
No, we can't weld because of the lead law now.
Right.
Can I reinforce it with a gusset or a plate? So if I have a welded connection, and there's two overlaps and a beautiful weld done by some guy, some structural guy, 15 years ago, I don't have to cut that, do I? But I can't get into it, and the only way you want me to guarantee that weld is to load test it, which is expensive, X-ray it, which is just as expensive, but can I just blow a bolt hole through that and pop in a 1/2-inch bolt or a 5/8 and be done with it? Will that satisfy you? So all welded connections, which that building there, the Symphony has it, or the theater. So that's how we're going to deal with welded connections. To avoid a load test of it, you just reinforce it with a backup bolt. Now, when we walk around the same place now, and I didn't do this 2 years ago, I wasn't stressing the, Thing's trying to find your Wi-Fi in here. I wasn't stressing the, what do you call it, the square head bolts and the rivets and the 50-year. So now the word load test is the key piece in here, because now if you go to that same theater that we walked by, before we were going to spot paint only what was wrong with it. Is that what we're going to do now? Or you're going to force a load test onto that building? Otherwise, if you refurbish that whole building, will you guys order a load test on that theater?
No.
No. And all the connections back into the building, which are visually, you can only verify visually from the outside, what are they going to have to do on this 50, 75, or 100-year-old structure so that you don't order a load test to verify the wall?
And actually, that fire escape is critical as a part of the means of egress for that theater.
So it's the eminent hazard.
Yeah.
With the thousands of people that you put in there, you put 2,000-3,000 people in there.
Yeah.
And something was
When
happening,
it's-
it's an
and
eminent hazard.
sometimes it is that many. I mean, the main ballroom will hold almost that many, and
Right,
then
it's
sometimes
eminent
they have
hazard.
both of them going, Symphony Hall and the Terrace, going at the same time. But as far as Symphony Hall, those people that are up on those upper levels, that is their
The main means of
egress in case of an
secondary
egress.
egress to
Yeah.
get out of there. And whatnot. And they have gospel shows and stuff down there all the time. Nobody just declared that an imminent hazard. Who gonna declare it an imminent hazard? Who gonna say that's an imminent hazard? Wasn't that? Who gonna say that? Should have been a long time ago. Should have been
Tell
done.
him, John. Tell him.
Well, John also knows that the city owns that building.
It would not
And you will close Symphony Hall.
I'm not. If I was the inspector, I'd declare it an imminent hazard.
You are an
You can do it.
No, what not? You know, what not? What's the difference? I've declared some other stuff imminent hazards. You know.
And this is that tough line that we're not going to be crossing. That as long as we can identify it, it just needs a proper system. We just need to get the right people on it. As
Right.
soon as you write, as soon as you
Well,
go
I'm
down
gonna go,
there.
yeah, I wrote 'em up, but I
And
don't
he
get
brought
no
this up. As soon as he writes the word
That you
repair,
wanna know.
paint, test on that structure, who really
Everybody
owns
living over here,
it?
my
Final
kids.
guy that's gonna
The
sign
owner-
it, is it you guys, or is it,
City of Newark.
Yeah.
or is it
Then you had
the
hotel,
building
we had
department that now
everybody
just got it, that just got the repair?
They're involved in it.
They're involved in it now,
Chief.
so if they don't wanna do anything about it,
Chief.
you just say, hey, it's the word repair is in there, we just wrote the violation and started the process.
Been like that for how many years? How many years that fire escape been like that, Chief?
At least 17.
Before I got down there, right? Oh.
Yeah, 2 hours, yeah.
Women has
We can
been.
use 2 hours one right now as an example.
Yeah, it's no more.
So,
Call me. That party.
Alright, let's,
This thing out, I emptied it and then threw it out.
so here's the class that we
should,
did,
right?
very similar to this class. As you can see, it's a class inside, a small conference room. We did the same thing. This is in Springfield, Illinois. This is last week. And I'm gonna start moving it forward. Hopefully the wireless is picking it up accordingly.
Excuse me, Chief. We getting credits for this class?
No, but we should, but we didn't have it in, this is in-house training. But there is a way, see, he's certified to teach classes for the state, and if we had it set up through our, King
Set-
College,
yeah.
well, you could have got
We teach a
credit
6-hour
for it.
continuing ed course of this very same class. But again, if you do it through your associations, and if you set up continuing ed credits at one of your training centers here, and then you bring me in to speak, then that's how
Then you
he
get
gives you
credit
the
for it.
credits. I don't give you the credit, he
Right.
gives you the credits.
State, King College.
So let's do a downtown walk around here. Let me just move this thing forward here.
Chief, we gonna do downtown?
I'm gonna see how many people we got available to go down and walk through with him
Oh,
again.
okay.
It's the next 4 because we are already in the picture.
Where?
Here we go. All right, here's a good one right here.
Rotate.
Everybody gonna be
I'll let
busy.
this only play,
Know how that go, Chief.
No, we got some folks that really wanna learn what to do.
do I need a stainless steel mold to go back into a connection?
And they'll
For
make
ones who already
sacrifices
know.
to be there.
Tempered, does it have to be, from the ground, you can see evidence of certain things. Now,
Well, I'm going to.
do you think that tail has been hit by a truck and it's passed?
So this is the
So
fire
there's,
marshal that walked around
with
with
the truck hitting and the steel being bent, the weight box is bent. There's also another thing that's a no-no. See that chain? Yeah. That chain, does it look like original or an add-on? All right, what that means is because this thing people are breaking in, they put some extra weight on that weight box. Do you see the evidence of additional weight being thrown on a weight box?
The outside.
Okay, so that means that you, a 150-pound woman with a 50-pound child, would have to go out 5 to 10 steps to activate this. Is that single action requiring no special knowledge? Okay, see this vehicle down here? Is this a fire lane? Is there any vehicle supposed to be parked down here? So what we're probably going to need is probably a bollard somewhere there to basically stop this, because today they stopped here. But tomorrow, if they stop ever so slightly up front just to get one more vehicle in behind them, what you're going to get is this thing won't be able to come down. With that, let's take a look at the second thing that you would notice here as an inspector. Any evidence of maintenance, and this is a 75-year-old building, and you're looking at all the original hardware. Is it hex head or square head? All the hardware.
It's all hex. Or square head.
All square heads, indicating that this is all original. So, and you wrote a violation on this. What's the only cure right now for the violation in your mind?
Refurbishment.
No, well, yeah, the code is very simple. Load test, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody was to inspect this and they said this is in pristine condition, the only way to guarantee that it's in pristine condition, because you don't want an opinion letter, you want a load test. So if a structural engineer was to come here and inspect this and give you evidence that this fire escape is in pristine condition, he has to perform a load test. He has to oversee a load test and send you some inspection criteria on what needs to be done on this fire escape. Once that load test is done, will you be satisfied to remove the violation? and it passes.
Yes.
And then, more or less, what's the cycle as the code requires to load test this again?
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years. So that's one of the options. Load test it every 5 years and give you the document, engineer oversight, and you're happy, right?
Is that IFC code?
Well, again, it's in, you're gonna find it in the NFPA, you're gonna find it in the fire codes, you're gonna find it in the building codes.
And life safety?
Well, again, they may not say the 5-year cycle. Some of them have in every code say it must be maintained at all times.
That's what
And
I
that's,
read.
and where the 5-year rule comes into play is that some fire codes pick up the 5-year rule. Some building codes pick up the 5-year rule, and if you are one of those states that doesn't have the 5-year code, what you're gonna have is must be maintained at all times. So you literally can walk to this building and force an inspection on it every year if you wish.
That's what our code reads.
Right. So that's where all of a sudden the standards, we're changing the standard nationwide so that it comes in line with everybody else. Everybody in the country is about 5-year cycle for a structural review and a load test. Or on average, if you refurbish the 75-year-old fire escape, a 50 to 75-year-old fire escape, the average cycle for possible load testing is every 25 years. But that's after a complete refurbishment. And this fire escape has no evidence anywhere.
And
Has
that's
evidence
what's
of
gonna look at all
damage,
these fire
has
escapes
evidence of
painted or
rust.
not
How about
painted.
cement? Do you see any
You
cement
won't see
issues?
one new bolt on
Some
it.
rusty
and it's
tears?
impossible for
You see those, these,
a
what is called these
75-year-old fire escape
stains
not to have
coming
a
down the
couple
wall.
new
Sorry
bolts
about
in it.
that. Those are called
And we're gonna
dragon
go into
tears, and those are
Osborne,
evidence that water's getting into the building.
shortly, and we'll
What's
take
the
a
only
look at
thing
that
you
one.
will allow on this fire escape as proof that the connection into the wall is safe? One is the load test.
Right.
But the second one is, which we explained
The
over there.
drill.
Drill a new hole,
Right.
epoxy bolt it in there, duplicate the connection, keep the original, and now you don't need to verify or load test the connection because on this 75-plus-year-old building, you duplicated all the connections back into the building so you didn't have to do any damage. So did this fire escape pass or fail?
This right now would fail, in my opinion.
And it needs a load test.
Right. Well, you can see evidence up there where they packed ground to there.
In the connection.
Yeah, I can see that on what, the second story, third story.
So you don't have to go up on these fire escapes anymore. Because
Again,
from down
all this
here,
is from
you
the
don't
ground
see any
floor.
evidence of
A
maintenance. You don't see
10-story
any
building will
access,
tell
not
you
even
what
on this
condition is on the
cantilever.
first floor.
You see any evidence of
fixes
maintenance.
just
If I
the
was
first
gonna
floor
cheat
on
you,
anything.
I would at least change a bolt or two down here. Is that happening anywhere?
The next one is an all welded one. You guys are gonna like the next one.
Well, it's an easy situation.
Which not change at all.
Perfect. All right, let's take a look at it. Fire Escape Academy Inspector Training.
You guys like
Okay,
some
we're
of
down
these?
here in Springfield,
Look at that.
and we got a fire escape here that, again, must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. So let's go for the easiest part before you write a violation. Has she been kept painted?
It's been kept painted, but it's gonna fail. Look at that.
There's no paint on this thing.
No?
It's all rust, 100% rust.
Rust sometimes
So
gets
yeah,
so dark, you
must be
think it's
kept painted,
paint.
must be structurally sound. So now she's already
Very
failed the
dark
paint
brown
test.
rust.
Can you order a
Looks
load
like
test
it's a
if
black
it's
fire
got no
escape, but
paint?
it's not. Look at all the structural problems with this.
Because it's part of your maintenance.
And
It's
this
either
is
a
an
maintenance
hazard.
issue or a
What's
structural
about to
issue.
show?
Right now you got a maintenance issue. And I will prove to you that rust grows from the connection out. So as soon as you get a fire escape that's been ignored, and this thing to rust it out 100% took 25 plus years. It rusted from the connection, and look at the railing, I mean, where the ladder meets at the bottom.
Look,
Do you see the remnants of a bolt?
Is that gonna get the occupant or the fireman?
Now, that means that if you let the thing rust 100%, every connection has been compromised. So the worst thing you could ever do to a fire escape is let it rust 100%, because it doesn't rust from the inside out. It actually rusts from the outside in. It rusts from the inside out.
Right.
So right now, this fire escape that somebody in this building has ignored for 25 years, is she structurally sound in any way?
No.
So she's compromised every connection. So you write a violation, and the
Evidence of
cure.
Somebody working on it up there.
Yeah.
Take the ladder up to
Got
the
the
roof.
wire ties right there holding it up.
Yeah. And the ladder broke already. So you think a fireman's already going to get hurt on this one?
Yes.
So this one has one more thing.
It doesn't
It's
have
got
any-
life safety issues.
Yeah.
So now, what has to happen on this particular building when you write the violation on this one? Is it a simple
No.
That's
fire
what
escape
she's talking
violation?
about.
This
When
is
you
a
have a
life
life safety issue.
But this is a life safety issue.
Right.
As soon as it goes
Even
red, you got
before
other
they get a chance
problems
to
now.
refurbish, even before they get
Painting the
anything,
building,
you might order a watch over here.
watch.
You might order some scaffolding, temporary
The word
scaffolding.
repair is gonna
to
come
take,
on this
take
anyway,
or you
so
want
automatically
emergency
building
repairs on this
department's
right away
already
because
Right now, can any
now
of
you
these
got
tenants
friends
get out
to get yelled
without
at.
this thing collapsing and hurting
Because
themselves?
there's been a referral. over to the
Fireman in the middle of the night
building
with
department,
smoky
subcode fire-
conditions,
subcode
when he
official.
noticed these things, when he's jumping on this thing.
No.
So is this a life safety issue?
Yes.
So right now, you've got situations when you get there, and this is the bastard child of egress. Nobody cares about these things. But this one is not. This is a hand grenade. The
Yeah.
pin already pulled out.
Yeah.
Let's go. There's another one right next to it. Let's see what this next one can do. And then we're gonna go hit that one over there. That looks like it's been kept painted. Somebody just
That one
refurbished
was
it and repainted it. So,
pristine black
oh, I
paint.
thought there was another one here. And we're gonna go hit that other fire escape over there. But let's walk around the.
I'll end on this
you know
black
this
one now,
address?
and then I'm gonna show Osborne for you.
Across.
And
So-
Osborne is 10 fire
Now,
escapes, I believe.
must be structurally
All around
sound,
the
must be kept painted. Let's take a look at
The whole project
we're doing what's
is
called a
is
downtown walk
messed up.
around. And we do this all the time with fire departments all over the country. And all these videos are free online from Boston to California to Seattle to Texas, Chicago. We can get in this way. So the rule in every code, NFPA, building code, fire codes, housing codes, must be kept painted, must be structurally sound. This one,
The importance
somebody
about
kept
this
it
fire
painted,
escape, it's
right?
an all welded fire escape, guys. So
She looks pretty
watch
good,
what
right?
happens when welds
looks like they changed all
are
the
the main
grading out.
source of
This
connecting
looks like a
fire
full
escape. And
refurb.
it's all painted, it looks beautiful, but from a far away,
Okay.
I even thought it was a perfectly good
What do you
fire
think
escape
so
ready
far?
for a load test. But look at that.
Looks new. Well, it looks. Let's look at a couple things that we have to concern ourselves with. Is it a bolted fire escape or is it a welded fire escape? Okay. And let me tell you the concerns you might have with weld. Welds, unless they're sealed, do you think the water gets in from above and eats these welds? So, because they just recently painted this thing, let's take a look at some indications. This is a grade indicator right here. See this grading? Look straight up and look at the angle. You see some bulging happening on the angle that's holding up the grading? So she's tack welded, but you see some bulges. You see that the thing is waving?
Yeah.
Okay?
It's rust behind it.
There's rust behind it. Now look at the treads. Look straight up at these treads. Right?
Yeah.
Bulges?
Yeah. It's,
So even though she looks great, she looked like a new fire escape to you. Look straight up here. How do you get that big of a bulge?
See all that rust in there?
Only
That's what
rust. Right, so
That's what drops occupants.
this is an all welded
That's
fire
what
escape.
drops firemen. But if you load tested this fire escape,
The only way, actually, let's go
If
down
load
here.
tested, we'd have
Thank God
broken
for zoom
treads.
lens here.
So in some cases, we're like,
Look at
no,
every one of
good.
those.
Like, hey, load tested. You got load testing
And do
all
you
these
see
bad
bulges in
treads.
every
Guess
single
what
one?
keeps starts falling?
Okay, so now,
So you can always pull the load
You're
test
about
card
to
when
write a
somebody is
violation on this
really
one.
adamant about their
do what?
engineer
What's the
who is
first order on
trained
the-
at Rutgers and
I need a load
you
test,
know,
right?
and his word is God.
the guy's gonna
Like,
come back
okay,
to you and
then
say,
load
"Hey,
test it for me." I need a
but I
guarantee
just-
because
I
I got
just had
rust
it
in
all
the
painted. I
connection.
just have
No matter
refurbished
how he
it.
yells at you, you can say,
but I
hey,
need a
the law says very
engineer.
clear. Either I'm
I've noticed
satisfied,
evidence
I
of
order
rust
a
in your
load test.
connections.
And right
what's
now, if you
secure?
want to
How do I
give me this fire escape
how
that
can I
has
verify,
connection rust,
besides the
I'm
load
not
test,
satisfied.
a welded connection? How can
But
I
if you're gonna
verify?
fight me in
Where was
court, then load test it.
It's with an X-ray.
That way we can
You
all
know,
walk away.
you know how expensive an X-ray is to X-ray every one of these welds? You want to
So-
know a cheaper one? If I go in and
I'm
I
gonna step
drill
out of this one,
every
and then
single one of
we're
these, and I put a
at the end of
bolt
the
in there,
class. I'm gonna do
what's the new
Osborne,
connection now?
and then just
The
open up
bolt
for
or the
questions,
old weld?
and just make sure that you guys understand
But I
that.
have a problem because
Let me just get in and out of this one.
Excuse me,
Yes.
that particular one is out of compliance straight from get-go. Because what the code says under the retrofit and whatnot, if it's the outside stairs and it's a fire escape and whatnot, there's supposed to be a roof over top of it for snow and everything else. It's out of compliance from
Yeah,
Jump
in the
Street.
retrofit, you know, I had that as one of my classes through Kane. A lot of the fire officials, oh, the retrofit law, blah blah blah. You know, I said there's a million laws that people are not complying with, and that if you
Right.
start complying with everything that needs to be compliant, nobody can live anywhere. And yes, there is a retrofit law. Right now, I'm at the basics ABC, and the ABC is the existing fire escape is supposed to be structurally sound and it's supposed to
Right.
be kept painted through two means of proof:
But
load tested Or refurbish it.
And
And then, like you said, correct, you know.
it's out of compliance because and whatnot for snow and all the other stuff and whatnot. It must be removed from the stairs and whatnot. And if the stairs is on the outside, exterior and whatnot, metal or fire escape stairs and whatnot, it has to have a cover over top of it and whatnot under the retrofit.
Majority of the fire escapes until.
And they don't.
Yeah.
And then they don't. And you refer it down to the building department under the retrofit because we can't make them install. We can only send a referral down there and
You
whatnot.
can start with the
Nothing
word
happens.
repair. As soon as you start with the word repair, two people now are holding hands on that one fire escape. And if they want to push that law, let them. You're just stating a violation that you minimally just want it safe for occupants and firemen. Whether or not they want to initiate that retrofit is, now it's the subcode guys. The word repair brought in a partner.
Where they really pushed that is in places of assembly and in schools. We did have one school that had an outside fire escape. They're no longer using it at school right now. But Rector Street, they did have an outside fire escape. They had that covered. In places of assembly, nightclubs and stuff that got outside fire escape, they really pushed that.
They pushed it there, but in the factories
But there are
and
some
other
that don't
places-
have it.
Factories and other places like that where you got large groups of people working and whatnot, they haven't did anything. And we sent referrals down there. It's as far as back as in the late '90s and whatnot. We sent them in there and whatnot. And they haven't did it. The violations are open and whatnot. And the building department hasn't complied, and nobody has wrote the imminent hazard on it. You know whatnot. They don't want you to do an imminent hazard.
Fire escape issue. Yep, this is to Osborne. And again, what we did is, aside from sending you inspection criteria regarding Osborne to see if we're qualified to inspect, we sent you a copy of
summary video.
Summary
Here
video.
in,
And this is inside. This is a big mess. This is a
we're doing fire escape review.
big mess inside, a big mess
All right,
outside.
so I got one of the contractors here that had done some work already. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna step outside and we're gonna talk about just what is the things that I need to do in order to pass this fire escape. I either need to load test it or I need a certified repair so that I don't have to load test it. So if I find anything in here that wasn't certified repaired, then the only other option I have for is a load test. But a lot of times the load test is much more expensive than the certified repair, which is a lot of times just changing the bolt, clean the rust, reconnect the bolt, and seal it with silicone. So you're gonna find that it's a lot cheaper to do that. So let's pop out.
At the end of this, you know, because they stripped all the walls, you can see the inside connection. It's a steel bar that comes
Continuation of our
in,
conversation on the inside.
opened up like that
City wants
on
to
the
load test
inside.
it.
So we actually verified at the end that all the supports were into the
Certified
building.
repair.
Correct.
So each
So here
one
you go.
is 50 to 75 years old. My only way to guarantee it is load test it, or if you can cut these bolts out, clean out all the rust inside here, and some of them have it, and change the bolts, put it back, and then seal it. That's a certified repair. Then I can sign off on it. Okay, so right now all of these are original hardware. So let's come down to this side over here. If I look up the entire fire escape, you see all the connections and all the rust that's inside here? So as soon as you change this out, I need this whole thread to come out, clean it, prime it, and then put it back, put the bolts in it, and then repaint it. So that it goes back to black,
It was
okay?
100% painted already.
The rails,
Way before they fixed it.
see this connection here? The only thing I can do is load test it, or change the bolt, and I don't have to load test it. Bolt, change it, or I have to load test it. Okay? See all these three right here? Change it.
See the corners? Riveted corners?
This is easy.
As soon as I change those three corners, we're good.
Like this.
You leave it alone, I gotta load test it.
Got the heads, pop them out, put a new bolt, drive a wedge in between with a little chisel wedge, and then just clean it out, blow it out, and whenever possible, sometimes you spray in there a little bit of primer, and whenever possible, if you can, you squeeze some silicone in there before you squish it, and then you just run your fingers and you seal it with silicone with 3 new bolts. That's a certified corner repair. See this bolt down here? I need that bolt cleaned out, a new bolt in there, and then this area cleaned out, and whenever you can, I would use either tar or silicone in the corner to basically seal that up from future corrosion. You see this bolt? You gotta change that bolt and you gotta clean underneath it. You see all these rivets coming this way? You don't have to do anything to these because these run the opposite.
They're called minor connections.
But
Minor
the straps that
connections
go
don't
from
need
the
to
back
be
to the
both.
front. I need those done. See this bracket that's underneath here? See how that nut is gone?
Yes.
I need all that. I need the rust cleaned, and I need that nut changed and seal it with silicone. I already talked to you about the bracket
This is called
underneath, which we can look up.
Inspector Summer Review. The inspector tells you what's wrong, but he also tells you what he wants to do to fix it.
What's wrong with this
So that
ribbon?
any vendor can use
It's
this
50 to
as
75
what
years
is
old.
going to pass this question.
The only way I can
But
guarantee
also
it and
the
sign off
inspector
on it
here
is I need a
saying,
load test.
this is, you guys, yep,
You
I
come
agree,
in here,
do
you
all
cut
those
that ribbon
things.
out, you put a new
So
bolt
I'm
in
trying
there.
to satisfy her.
And you cut that ribbon in the back, you
that
put
we're
a
gonna
new bolt in
structurally
it,
fix this
then
and
I
move
need
a
a
load
certified
test.
repair. I can sign off on it. These connections into the wall are unverifiable. You know what I'm saying? But you still gotta repack these connections and tight, make sure that the cement tight. But now, 5 inches away, you drill a 3/4 bolt, or and you put an epoxy bolt next to it, and then you put a clip back to this, and you bolt it here with a clip here. But now it's too cold for epoxies. You may have to do all this repair work, and these epoxies will have to be done in the spring, April or May. Because you'll still get your certification now, but that's one of the things that's going to be holding it for the future is that the epoxy into the wall needs to be done, but it's too cold. If you don't
It
have
was
days
later
of 60,
verified that you
70
can't see all the
continuous,
connections on the
they don't
inside
cure
because every wall was
correctly.
stripped, so I can see it.
So, but that's something the city was willing to work with us because of the winter only. Everything else can be done regardless of all the rest of the structure. That's the only internal activity you have to do, okay? So, with that, you have the stringer clips at the top. See these two stringer clips up here?
Yes.
Those need to be cleaned out and rebolted. This one and that one.
So once you
That's
talk
the
about
standard
one
repair.
floor, and I've got 10 floors, do I have to talk about all
See these
10
railings
floors,
here?
or
This
one
is all
floor
railings.
represents all floors?
You gotta tell him every
We
floor.
always like
Well, a
to
lot of times when you tell them
Throw in a
about
couple
one,
straps.
it repeats itself 10 times,
Here
so
and
it's
here.
the same technique.
because in case you trip and fall, a child will pop through these and fall to their death. So you want to put some straps in here. Okay? See this release arm? This ladder? She's working pretty well. It needs very little weight for this thing to drop by itself. And what you're going to do is, first of all, this thing is crazy. It's a trip hazard, but that's like the foot for that thing, and it's just done wrong. Okay? See the bolt is there. There's yet, if you put your hand underneath here, you can see that this is kind of Mickey Mouse. It's a trip hazard.
So they should just be able to L it right there?
Yeah, they should be able to L it and bracket it differently because this is a trip hazard. But the original hardware is here. You got to change that original hardware. If I had a release arm, I think what this thing is was a release arm is one of two ways. I can have an arm here that does this. Because she wants to fall, and if this thing was balanced correctly, the arm would do this, and as soon as I pull it away, this thing will drop by itself. Or even faster and cheaper, you get a chain from Home Depot. You drill a hole here. You have a chain that goes down, goes around this thing, comes back up, and hooks onto a hook. And you put that chain
Pretty
here.
simple, right?
I would agree
Now
with
the
that, yeah.
chain, in case there's a failure of this
It's simple, but
cable,
they don't
this
do
ladder
people-
won't fly
They
down.
don't do that, they wrap it
Okay,
around,
so
no,
some
break
people
into the
lock
building.
it.
No,
Down below.
it's a chain, it's
They
a
can't,
release
this
we
chain
make.
is
We
acting
either make
as
a
a-
release arm
Okay.
bar or use the
Or the
chain,
release
because
arm.
as soon as you release the chain
As soon as you
doesn't
release
fall
it with the
away.
chain, the chain just
But it
drops,
lets the
and that's why it's
it lets the
bolted here.
ladder fall away.
So the chain just
It's not a
hangs.
homeowner's chain,
That's
it's
what
a
stops
chain
people from
installed by a
breaking the
professional.
Okay, any questions on anything that needs to be done? This is 10 stories times 10 fire escapes. Any questions on what this is?
No, I made him aware.
Now, we're gonna do
I
an
told him,
inspection on each
that's
and
why we
every single
explained
one
it
of
to
these
him, this is
platforms.
what you're gonna do,
We're
he's not
identify
gonna do what
which
he
ones
wants.
have good
And this
work.
needed engineer oversight, I don't know if
Photographs
they,
and video, which ones
if
have
they've
good
got
ladders,
anybody working on the
which
fire
ones
escape, but the rule is,
Which ones
and
have
we
good
told them,
cement.
and we sent you a letter
Don't
stating that they need engineer oversight even to
Yeah,
watch
but
this guy
still
fix it.
needs to be identified. The violation. We're gonna tell you which ones are both.
I know,
which ones are
like
not.
that.
Yeah,
And we're gonna have a general conversation about the entire fire escape 10 times. So there'll be 10 reports, 10
a lot of crazy
photographs,
things happening in that building.
and about just what the general condition is of the fire escape. Okay? And the fact that it's all painted is the one thing you don't have to do here. Nobody has to paint these fire escapes if they're freshly painted. But the only thing structurally she has problem with the structure. Okay? Yeah, because I can't load test it in the as-is condition. Very good. All right, want to shut that down?
Inspector release at Newark, New Jersey, Osborne Street. This Inspector Summary report, and we're standing here on a.
Let me show you one last one, and then we'll open it up to questions. And this is one is Flatbush.
The dude told me, well, you go walk on. I said, well, you go walk on. I'm not going out there. That, you know that building's been sold since, right? I don't know when you did that, but it's been sold.
Since you wrote about within the past month or two.
It was sold with the violations.
A few months ago it was sold. Agawam doesn't own it anymore.
Who violations, mine?
Oh, my,
Board of Appeals with my violation.
All three of them, man. 7, 9, and 11.
Yeah, mine, yours, and somebody else's.
It showed me how long.
And not hers.
I think the only one he was really appealing was
The basement.
The basement, the means of
Yeah.
egress for the
But
basement.
I still took Gwen because Gwen had asked for pull stations in 2007. So I took Gwen.
But
I took the ones
he
from
did that right,
2009.
except that he couldn't produce any permits
Permits.
where he pulled to
Right.
install those pull stations.
Mhm. So I had 3 years of violations on it.
But you got to be particular when you go up there, because they're very particular.
Yes, yes, yes.
We've been up
They
there.
old, but
We've
they
been up
been
there,
around
and
a long time.
you make one thing wrong, even missing the dot or the period in the code there, and then they're gonna reschedule and say, well, you didn't write the code correctly.
They said, did you do a re-inspection? We said,
Well,
we made contact over the phone. He said, no.
When he came
Physical.
over
Did you go there?
He picked them violations up on that date.
She's still doing it.
Yeah.
No, not because I'm going up for what you told me. Once I
don't
put
talk
them
about
in
a
for
phone.
penalties, I ain't have to go back. You told me that, Chief
No,
Stewart.
but for everybody information, while he's looking for that, anytime we get a case in the Construction Board of Appeals, the day or two before the case come up, they want you to go down and do a re-inspection. Even if it's in court, they want you to go down and do a re-inspection because they're going to ask you, what are the conditions now? As opposed to that. So if we get something for the Construction Board of Appeals and we got to go up there a day or two before you're scheduled to go up there, you need to go out and do a re-inspection to see if the violation that you actually wrote still exists.
Right, he asked that and he said,
He said he wouldn't let it in.
No, I didn't. He said he came up here.
He said he didn't want her to go back and do
He didn't want me to go back and do no inspection. And he agreed to that. But he was supposed to be in penalties. So they did ask, well,
Who
is
put
it
him
in
in
penalties?
Who put him in?
I
Gary or
gave the
She didn't
Yvonne?
have a
Stewart.
penalty letter to prove that yesterday.
Gary or Yvonne?
I don't know. You have to ask Chief Stewart.
You said Yvonne.
So Chief Stewart said give everything to Yvonne. Give it to him, give it to Yvonne.
Malie, shut up.
So is all your stuff in penalties?
Let me cut your hair. Come on, let me fix your
Cut
hair
this
for you.
piece right here.
Because it's hanging.
Yvonne got a
Well, see, the
jacket
thing
in
of it is, it's the
That's why I always try to
inspector
pass the
themselves
buck.
going to have to take responsibility for their own action. They can't say that the supervisor or the fire official
Thank you.
did this or that. It's the inspector that
Thank you.
actually goes to the site that's responsible for that inspection.
Right, but how do you put it in? So how you put it in for penalties then? Tell me how to do that.
Give it
Then I
to
could
Chief,
just
and he gonna take
bypass.
That's gonna be a
No,
part.
what I'm saying is they asked for
It's gonna be.
penalties.
It's in your computer system now. As soon as we get that thing operation next year, you'll be
I
able
don't have no
to
problem with my
to
penalties,
write
'cause
your
I give it
own
to them,
penalties.
And they come right in and
That was supposed to be
whatever.
in penalties when me and Arson went there for the fire.
That's what Gary was saying.
This is a typical inspection report. This is
Farscape
the last one.
Summary video.
This is in New York.
Here. We're on Brooklyn, New York. Farscape. Farscape is very serious condition. Ready, it's in a state of collapse. Entire Farscape is very, very bad. And it's fallen, hasn't seen a repair or paint job in 25 to 50 years. We got rust growing everywhere. Everything is breaking. This is a great Farscape to learn
Active
what happens
building.
when you ignore a fire escape.
Over
Look
bakery.
at all this. The bolts are still there. The bolts are missing. This fire escape, if you would step on it, or a fireman was to step on this thing,
How
this
come
thing
no
would come out
building
and
inspector
kill
or
hurt
fire
somebody.
guy ever saw
Missing
this?
treads. All original hardware. Farscape needs 100% refurbishment.
You say it's occupied or
Paint
vacant?
job.
Occupied.
As well as, because this was an addition
on
to
the
the
bottom,
building that they
apartments on
put
the
in
above.
here, it used to go down to the ground, so they need a catwalk all the way down here. There's a bakery now. They need a catwalk all the way down here, up and over, and into this yard. Because right now you can't get down there any other way. So right now this Farscape needs to come down, but it needs a full refurbishment. 100% rebolting of every connection. All the connections into the wall need to be verified because they're all unverifiable, very porous wall. And as you can see, all the connections into the wall are pretty bad. So
Where's that at?
reinforce or revolt.
Bush, Flatbush.
Rails are bad, all the connections, all the heads are missing.
It's a landlocked building with a fire escape on the street before. But I mean, it's an alleyway landlocked building where you got two blocks.
Kind of rotted
if it's row housing, you get into the back alleyway,
Right.
or shared alleyway, or shared backyards with people. It doesn't even get down to the ground.
It's an active building, so we have to make sure that this fire escape.
No, there's nothing. I made them mention there's not even a catwalk to get you to a ladder to get down. You have to jump 10 feet
You
down.
got that down on Broad Street here. They wouldn't have to go on Broad Street between Broad and Halsey Street and whatnot. The building's landlocked.
Yeah, you have to have a catwalk to get you up and over vents. You can't put people blindly up there. They have to walk. And in case there's a fire on the roof, the firemen fall through roofs. That's why catwalks are needed. It's for the tenants to get out, but firemen to use a bridge to get, in case there's a fire on the roof, they don't fall through a collapsing roof.
Engineers, 800
You just see that
649
just by riding around in New York, though. Somebody has to tell
No,
you about that.
this is a call. We were called for an inspection.
Okay.
So now, in our inspection that you would get, when we send to you, we basically tell the client, we use photographs to tell what's wrong. So now this is all photographs of the that are going to be part of the report, and it also has little clips that talk about the engineer oversight. So these are things that we're telling people that have to do, but some of these people are like, no, this is just a scrape and paint job. I've been doing that for 30 years, scraping and painting. So don't go making this thing bigger than it is. And that's why we have these classes, because these classes are now starting to change the mindset here. Believe me, you're not going to get an owner that's gonna feed back. He's going to push back or fight back with you.
A catwalk is the actual metal.
Right, a catwalk
On top
is
of the
over a roof is the actual
It's
metal.
it's like that.
Right.
Like look. Like
And then with
how the
railings
stairs
on
are
both
with the
sides,
railings.
and it
So
keeps
if the
me-
roof goes in, the catwalk sits on the whole.
Yeah, it's supposed to hold your firemen. By that time, it's the firemen that are walking through with their suits
Now
using
some
the
people
catwalk.
think that it's efficient just to put a railing to lead the person. You know, it's
Yeah.
like a whole railing there. You're not.
Or
You're
wood.
not
I've
putting,
seen wood catwalks too.
Yeah.
So let's answer that question. The
I've
rule
seen
is
that.
very simple. I can match the building types. If I have a wood structure, I can put a wood catwalk elevated off the rooftop, and it must be at least 2 inches thick in all directions. That's a fire rating. So I don't have to have a metal fire escape on a wood structure. I can have a wood structure. I can have a wood fire escape on a wood structure. It's just got to be thick. It's got to meet the minimum thickness for fire rating. Otherwise, the traditional, because fire escapes that are made of wood only last 15 to 25 years, and you're totally replacing them. Metal ones, you can ignore them for 75 years, refurbish them, and get another 75 years out of them. So that's why metal is the better choice, but it doesn't have to be the only choice. But you get into a rated building that is masonry building, they have to have a metal fire escape.
True story.
They
You
gotta
know the
have a
houses
rail
down
on each
there,
side.
off of New Jersey Railroad, like Oliver Street and all that.
Yeah,
You know how
yeah.
they have all that's wood in the back. That's the fire escape. That's considered their
Yeah.
means to be west fire escape.
Yeah, and that's where
So
you'll
you
see
say
some wood
every
catwalks
15
too.
years? No, but it's not metal at all.
It's greenwood.
Pressure treated wood.
Yeah,
But,
but the catwalks are wood
but
too.
he just said 15 years. So in 15 years time,
Every 15 to 25 years, yeah.
we go there and we tell them to demolish the back of that house. And I mean, it's really big. It's not like something. It's like a porch almost.
Yeah, it's the back porch.
So they have
Now,
to take all
that's
that
if-
down.
Probably we will have to start from now because nobody may not have records when that thing was actually
Well, it was
erected or constructed.
It was constructed when the house, those are pretty
Yeah.
new. Like
Yeah,
what,
but
6
if you
years
maintain
old?
them, it'll last longer than 25. People that do not maintain wood pressure-treated structures,
Right.
they will
Alright,
fall
well,
apart
yeah,
in
yeah,
15 to
yeah.
25 years, depending if
Say
it's on the
15
north side or
years.
south side.
Okay.
Yeah, but a pressure-treated wood structure left alone, it'll fall apart in 25 years.
Now the problem is, like
But if you
she was
maintain
saying,
it, it'll last indefinitely.
especially down in the East Ward, and
It's
John
so
was
big
saying
that
it
the
earlier.
motorcycles,
It's a lot of people
whatever
putting
you
up
do.
fire protection equipment, never took out permits for it in the
That's
first
right.
place. So we don't know sometime when it was actually done because the building department will have no records of them people pulling a permit.
Let's open it
to
up
do
to
that
questions, and I'll
stuff.
answer it on that one. Whenever you get to one, and you've got a ladder up the side of the building and no balcony, and they say that is my second means of egress, that's illegal. You need a platform to get out, to get to a ladder to go down to the ground. But they snuck this in, they shoehorned this in. You know how you get around? Just write your repair, paint, test, and they must verify that the fire escape that's there was legally permitted. If it was not, guess what they
Tear
have
it
to
down.
put in? They
Tear
have to
it
take
down.
the whole thing down, and no ladder now. Now they got to put a door where that window is, full metal stairs to the ground, because somebody 40 years ago didn't pull a permit. They just threw a ladder in there. So if
Now
you
that
wish-
has happened though. The
if you
building
wish to
department
push
has made
the issue.
it was
Without
over
a
near.
permit- Without a permit, you have the right to tear it all down and meet the current code.
Yeah, and over near 7th Avenue and 5th Street is a great big house over there. I don't know if you may know where I'm talking about. But they went and put up a fire escape there without applying for a permit. It looks good. It looked like a beautiful fire escape. But they didn't apply, and the building department didn't make them tear that whole fire escape down.
But that's done very
get permits
rarely.
and do it.
You
But I
know-
mean,
you know
it
it's
is
done
there.
very
It's
rarely.
there. It can be enforced.
Depending on
but it's
how
not,
politically hooked you are.